What's up, y'all? Hope y'all doing good. I'm Anthony K. Thomas, and welcome to Wrestling with Rumors. Welcome, everyone. So, before we get into everything that is Wrestling with Rumors, like I say, every week, every rumor that I am about to read is exactly what it is. It is a rumor. We can speculate as wildly as we want with this rumor, but until any of these rumors are proven true, fact, we see it happening on TV or any other way, they remain what they are, rumors. So with that, let's get into a new episode of Wrestling with Rumors. According to Wrestling Observer Radio, the planned main event for WrestleMania 42 are Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship and CM Punk versus Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I touched on this a little bit during an episode of Rumor of the Day, and I did say that I was going to go on this a little further on and a little bit longer. So let's get into this. So let's start with Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 42 if this happens. So Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. Now this could happen. Now if this does happen at WrestleMania 42, this would be the third match in their saga. The first one was at WrestleMania 39. The second one was at 40. Each of them have a win at these WrestleMania. So at WrestleMania 39, it was Roman Reigns. WrestleMania 40, it was Cody Rhodes. So this would essentially be the rematch at WrestleMania 42 of Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. And this is really that let's see if we can settle this. Final win, the final one here to see end this for all in this battle here with one apiece as far as WrestleMania is concerned. So I could see that happening. Probably would be, I could see it could probably be a thing where it's like Roman Reigns ends up winning at WrestleMania, gets the WWE Championship back, and slowly start building up to get that run going again. It could be something like that. Now, I did read in a previous episode of Rumor of the Day that a match between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns may not happen at WrestleMania 42, and in there I did talk how it could, if it does happen, it could happen either at Royal Rumble or at Elimination Chamber, and I say that, and I said that because of Drew McIntyre. There's that what we saw on this past week's episode. This past week's episode of SmackDown really escalated things on how Cody Rhodes went after Drew McIntyre in his vehicle as Drew McIntyre was being kicked out of the building because Nick Aldis did say that he was still suspended. So, and then Cody Rhodes coming out in the middle of the ring in the beginning of SmackDown, pleading with Nick Aldis to reinstate Drew McIntyre, get him off his suspension so that these two could finish this in the ring. And a match between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre for that WWE Championship. This would be the third match. And assuming that Cody Rhodes would retain his WWE Championship match, going on the next possibly to face Roman Reigns, would happen either at the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, is what I said in a previous episode of Rumor of the Day. Still sticking with that. So it could go either way, pretty much like that for Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, whether at WrestleMania 42, which would really be the third installment of this saga with them having one win apiece, or either before WrestleMania at a Royal Rumble or a Elimination Chamber. That would be Einstein, who's thirsty. He's obeying his thirst. He ain't drinking Sprite, but he's drinking his water. He's staying hydrated. It's a good dog. Now moving on to CM Punk versus Braun Breaker. This was the part that I did mention in an episode of Rumor of the Day, and I will talk on this again. I do not see CM Punk versus Braun Breaker at WrestleMania 42. And I say that not just because, and I say that not just because it was made official that it will be Braun Breaker versus CM Punk at at the first episode of Raw, January 5th, which will also be the anniversary date for a year anniversary of Raw on Netflix. But I'm saying that there's the way that this match could possibly go, which with shenanigans afoot, there could be a second match between CM Punk and Braun Breaker at Royal Rumble. Now, if that's the case, if things go like that, and that's the case, and we get to Royal Rumble, and we're doing this again, a rematch, regardless of who wins, we get a rematch going at Royal Rumble between Braun Breaker and CM Punk. As I stated about a month or so ago, that I still see a window of opportunity, possibly. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if he heals up nicely and quickly, and assuming he's not the masked man that we saw at War Games, which I don't think he is, and the rumors that are being spread around that people saw, that at least those in WWE saw Seth Rollins walking around without a sling. Assuming all of that stuff stays rumored and as it goes, Seth Rollins getting cleared in time either before or by the Royal Rumble and entering into the Royal Rumble and winning the Royal Rumble, or being cleared in time for Elimination Chamber and being in the Elimination Chamber match, either Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, Seth Rollins winning that match, which would leave Braun Breaker to, if he doesn't win on the January 5th episode of Monday Night Raw, then he wins at the Royal Rumble. Then he wins his WWE World title match at the Royal Rumble. And then you have Seth Rollins in a picture where you have Seth Rollins in a predicament where he either wins the Royal Rumble or wins at Elimination Chamber. Either way, he is now on a collision course and path on getting his revenge against the Vision and taking everything that they took for him, that World Heavyweight Championship. And that is Seth Rollins' goal, his mission. When he comes back, winning the Rumble or winning at Elimination Chamber, getting that world title match against Braun Breaker at WrestleMania 42, and taking everything from the Vision, from Braun Breaker, that world heavyweight title. So that is my predicament and how I see that first half of 2026 looking. So far as Seth Rollins gets cleared either on time, either on time for Royal Rumble or either on time for Elimination Chamber. I still see that. So we will see what those next two months in January and February from Royal Rumble to Elimination Chamber look like, and if I am actually right, and if Seth Rollins gets cleared in time. So we will see how things play out, but that is how I look at all of that. All right, let's move on to the next one. Per PW Insider, Liv Morgan was originally set to be cleared in early 2026, but she worked hard enough to return at Survivor Series. Damn right she did. I don't think any of us really expected to see Liv Morgan back in WWE until 2026, right around the time the Royal Rumble shows up. So the fact that she returned well before anyone expected her to return shows the hard work and dedication and how fast she wanted to get back. So awesome. It's good to have Liv Morgan back. It really is. They also note WWE played music for stars like Edge, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and more during Survivor Series setup at Petco Park, just to mess with someone streaming it live nearby to see what they would leak. Dean Ambrose was also one of those. One of the music that they was one of the other music that they were playing at Petco Park while they were setting things up. Truly, just trolling people, just seeing who was streaming and what people would say about it. It was good. It was good. I mean, obviously none of them are coming back, but obviously there are those in WWE who pay attention to what is going on around the dirt sheets, the rumors that are being spread, what people are saying on social media about possible returns, especially those they want to see come back and face John Cena one last time. So they just threw all that out there, and it was good. It was good to see. They did change up the video package a little bit for Dean Ambrose and made it look a little bit more newer, which was to add to the trolling, like he was coming back or something. It was good. It was funny to see them do that. So all in good fun and some trolling as well, I guess. Brian Alvarez noted on X that there is already talk of running a stadium for next year's Survivor Series event, which more likely will mean that if they when they do War Games next year, which they will most likely probably do again, they'll probably bring back the shark cages for the stadium because it didn't work in a baseball park. I mean, how they did do War Games this year, and how they just did the countdown, and then one person from each team would come out, left the curiosity and the wondering and the randomness in it, which was great. Love to see that. Love seeing that. I hope they do that again next year because I like that better than the shark cages. But if they do go to a stadium for Survivor Series next year, they'll probably bring back the shark cages and put everyone but the first two starting in War Games in the shark cages. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, AEW is trying to avoid putting Kenny Omega in long single matches, and that's why he may end up being put back with the Young Bucks. That would explain probably be one of the explanations why the Young Bucks are turning babyface again, to work with Kenny Omega, bring back the Elite. That's probably why that's going on. I mean, with Kenny Omega, I think they're still trying to be very careful with everything health-wise Kenny Omega has gone over the last year and a half. So they just want to be extra careful with Kenny Omega and make sure they take baby steps in him being in the ring. So it's all about his health, and I like hearing that, and it'll be fun to have the Elite back together again. So fun times. Even though John Cena still loves Vince McMahon, Brian Alvarez at F4W Online says it's increasingly unlikely, but not impossible, that McMahon will be in attendance for Cena's WWE Retire match this Saturday at Saturday night's main event. Absolutely, I touched on this on an episode of Wrestling with Rumors, and if Vince shows up, I'm hoping if Vince, or even if the president, if Trump even shows up, I can't put Trump in this category, but I could put Vince in this category. I'm hoping that it's at least a backstage thing. Like, he's at least able to be backstage and watch John Cena from backstage have his last match. And then John Cena comes to the backstage, gives Vince a hug, and they have the talk, all that stuff. I hope if Vince does show up, I hope it's at least in the backstage and not on camera. Survivor Series, they did have Shane McMahon there, but they didn't put him on camera. But he was there. But Vince McMahon is different because he is the reason why we still have WWE, all that stuff. Well, WWF at the time, now WWE. So they would absolutely put him on camera, but because of everything that's going on with him personally and on the news and stuff, if he were to show, I would hope that at least Vince would be backstage. If Trump shows, obviously he will be somewhere where the camera can put on him, because it's always about him all the time. I'm not trying to get political about it. F that dude. But still, um, um, yeah, they would. So I really hope, I really hope if Vince does show, it is a backstage thing. And I really hope Trump doesn't show, because it's not about him. It's about John Cena and his final match. And it needs to stay like that. And it's about John Cena's final match, but it's also about the future of WWE with these NXT stars facing off against main roster talent. And that's what it should be about for Saturday night's main event. So I really hope this Saturday it stays about that and not about the distractions. So we're moving on. According to the Observer, there has been talk of transitioning Nikki Bella to a heel manager role down the line. I absolutely can see that for Nikki Bella as things slow down for her in ring performance wise. I can absolutely see her being a manager in the ring. She hasn't been as successful in winning her matches, especially at Survivor Series, being unsuccessful in defeating Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship. Not no disrespect to Nikki Bella. She has done a lot for this company, but it was no surprise that Stephanie Vaquer got the win, because it's Stephanie Vaquer. She's incredible in the ring. She's getting better on the mic. She's improving with her English every day. She's just all around an incredible WWE superstar, because that's what she is. Stephanie Vaquer is a WWE superstar. So it was no surprise that Stephanie Vaquer got the win. But I don't see that being the end for Nikki Bella in the ring. She is absolutely going to get her hands on WWE Championship Gold. It's just a question of if it's going to be another opportunity at the WWE Women's World Championship. Is it going to be the WWE Women's Championship? Is she looking at going after the Women's United States Championship? Taking another run at the Women's Intercontinental Championship? In the future, her as a heel manager absolutely works. I would love to see that for her, especially if she were to get behind, say, like a Roxanne Perez. 100% that would work. But as far as her in-ring career, she's still got her gas. She's still got gas in the tank. She's still going to keep going. She's still going to pursue gold, because she came back to win some gold. So Bella Army is going to get behind her, and she's gonna level up, and she's going to get that gold. Definitely in 26. Absolutely. So, but her as a heel manager, I see it in the future for her. It works. It kicks ass. I would absolutely see that. There are people in AEW who predicted Netflix would win the bidding to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery before the news became public. According to Fightful Select, AEW doesn't expect there to be any major developments in the short term as a result of this story. This I am going to touch on much later on in Wrestling with Rumors. I'm going to keep going on, but I'm going to come back to this and talk about this in full. So let's move on. A source in WWE told F4W Online's Dave Meltzer that TNA wants AJ Styles to return in January to wrestle a match on the first show of its new TV deal with AMC. As we look into 2026, which will be AJ Styles' final year as a professional wrestler, I really hope in his final year, in his retirement year of being a professional wrestler, as he looks to leave the boots in the middle of the ring, I hope one of these final matches that AJ Styles has will be in January at TNA. Absolutely best way to kick off a new era in TNA on AMC is AJ Styles. What a way to bring in the ratings. What a way to really fill in the seats for everyone to be able to see AJ Styles in a TNA ring having a match. First time in decades. That would be incredible. So I really hope this happens. I really hope WWE can make this happen. And I know AJ Styles wants it to happen. So really hope it happens. We'll look into January and keep our fingers crossed that it happens. Meltzer claims that Paul Heyman wanted Austin Theory in the Vision, largely to make him a star and to protect Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed from having to take pins. Even though Theory was the mystery man at War Games, if the angle drags out until January, it could be Chris Jericho who is revealed as the masked man. Excuse me. So, so the masked man, so the person who did the impersonation of all that was Austin Theory. But as far as who is revealed to be the masked man, they're possibly Chris Jericho. This is really one of those things, so I'm going to leave it to all of you. So with this one, let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Should it be Austin Theory who is revealed as the masked man? Or do you think this is a way to bring Chris Jericho back and he is the masked man? I don't see how... right now, I don't see how it works for Chris Jericho to be a part of the Vision. I see it more for Austin Theory because having Austin Theory in part of the Vision under the tutelage of the Advocate, Paul Heyman, would do wonders for Austin Theory's career. It would be a great push. It would make him a star being under... getting that knowledge, that education from Paul Heyman. So it really should be Austin Theory that they revealed to be the masked man. I don't know how much longer they're going to drag this out. They could drag it out till January. It could be one of the last big reveal surprises before for the end of the year. But we will see. I really hope it is Austin Theory, though. I really do. I really do. Because with Chris Jericho, he's a big enough star. I don't think he needs to be a part of a faction or anything. I mean, it would be kind of cool to have him have his own faction in WWE because he hasn't really had that in WWE. He had that very successfully in AEW. So, but for him to have it in WWE, he could, or he just has one he just has one final run in WWE on his own. But we'll see in January if Chris Jericho does in fact come back. Everyone's saying that, yeah, he's going to come back. But we can't know that for sure. All we can do is speculate about that with Chris Jericho. But it would be cool to see Jericho come back to WWE, but we will see. And finally, as far as rumors go, Darby Allin's injury on the November 26th episode of AEW Dynamite was the result of a single blow to the head and not due to an accumulation of wear and tear on his body over time, per Meltzer. It wasn't the coast-to-coast drop kick at the end of the bout that injured him. A single blow to the head, that is serious. Taking as much time as you need to allow your head, your brain, your skull to heal up before getting back into the ring. I'm glad he's healing up nicely, and it's just taking time. And that's when you're dealing with a head injury. Absolutely take your time, especially head and neck. You don't want to mess with that. Fragile is part of our body. Glad he's taking his time, and I know we'll see him back in AEW soon. It's not a question of if, it's when, and I hope he just takes as much time as he needs. And I really hope and I'm glad that Tony Khan is allowing that to happen for Darby Allin as far as letting him take as much time as he needs. So that does it for the rumor portion of it. Let's talk about a few quick things. A few things I want to touch on real quick. First, as I mentioned earlier, it has been made official. Braun Breaker versus CM Punk for the world title, January 5th. First episode of Monday Night Raw in the new year. Also, a 1-year anniversary for Raw being on Netflix. Awesome. Secondly, it was just made official. SmackDown, it will be Gunther versus John Cena at Saturday night's main event. The rumors in this case were true about this. I know not a lot of people were happy about this. A lot of people wanted to see LA Knight get the win. I wanted to see that too. It'll just be a singles match as John Cena lost the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series, something that I brought up on last week's episode of Wrestling with Rumors. That was an episode that I taped before Survivor Series, not knowing whether or not John Cena was going to retain. And I really felt like he was going to retain, but he didn't. He lost. that match, he lost the Intercontinental Championship to Dominic Mysterio. Is what it is on that. So going into this match, it's just a singles match. Final match for John Cena. Gunther. Gunther is looking to add John Cena to the list of men that he has retired. He did this on a previous episode of Saturday Night's Main Event over the summer to Goldberg. So obviously speculations that Gunther is about to do the same thing again to John Cena. There is also speculations that the match is going to start first. There's also a possibility that it could be the main event. I really hope that John Cena versus Gunther will be the main event. Not the start of the show, the main event of the show. Let the beginning of the show be everything NXT versus main roster talent. That would be great to see. I hope we get to see that first. And then finish off with a celebration, main event, John Cena having this match, whether he wins or loses. After the match, he gives his speech. This time we'll be able to see it because it's not going to be like it was with Goldberg when Saturday Night's Main Event was on both Peacock and NBC, and NBC had to cut the feed because they were out of time and they had to move on to the next thing. This will be different because it's Peacock, it's streaming. There'll be plenty of time to allow John Cena to speak if he needs to, if there's something he wants to say, which he'll most likely want to say. So I hope it's the main event for John Cena versus Gunther. And lastly, so as I brought up earlier about Netflix purchasing Warner Brothers Discovery, let's have a few things here that I wrote down, so I'm just going to read it off here. So the network. So this is how it works for Netflix buying Warner Brothers Discovery. Everything that Netflix is looking to purchase and have agreed to purchase does not reflect on the television networks of TNN and TBS, which will go into a separate spun-off company called Discovery Global. So as far as Collision and Dynamite are concerned, they have nothing to worry about as far as this Netflix deal looks like for them. As far as AEW, Collision, and Dynamite, maybe possibly about streaming it also Collision and Dynamite through HBO Max, which is part of what Netflix is buying, which is HBO and HBO Max. So we can't be too sure about Dynamite and Collision still being shown on HBO Max and on HBO Max. I'm pretty sure it will be, but I'm pretty sure that Netflix will continue to honor the contract with AEW for still showing Collision, Dynamite, and their pay-per-views on HBO Max, because it'll only be for a year. Because in 2027, that is where things get iffy for AEW as far as their contract expiring in 2027 and having to look elsewhere. I think AEW will keep showing their pay-per-views on Amazon for this foreseeable future past 2027. It's just a question of if Netflix doesn't want to re-sign AEW, or if AEW wants to go elsewhere, which would be understandable, but considering the deal that that Netflix has with WWE, as far as showing Raw on Netflix, and as far as the Netflix deal they have internationally with Raw, SmackDown, and all their PLEs, which I will say again, should be the same thing for us here in the States. That should be its future, that Netflix in the States as well shows everything WWE as far as Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and PLEs. That should be its future, because it works. Everyone has it. You don't have to go here and go there for all of it. It just makes sense. Something I'll touch on probably next week's episode, but let's stay on key. Let's stay on focus. So, AEW's future, as far as 2027 concerned, is going to be uncertain. Netflix is acquiring film and television studios. Warner Brother Pictures, HBO, DC Universe franchises like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Looney Tunes, streaming HBO Max, which will likely merge, into Netflix. So, Netflix. So essentially people who have HBO Max, might not see that that app might just go away completely, and then everything that was on HBO Max will then be on Netflix, which also probably means that Netflix will likely raise the cost again, of their streaming app. So whatever you're paying now, they'll throw it up again, possibly. We don't know. It's going to take a while. There still has to be approval from Trump's administration, that he's put in there to regulate all of this stuff. Excuse me. So it's not a done deal. It's just hands have been shaken. Agreements have been made. It has to go through the channels and to see how this all works out. So we'll probably won't get any real news, any more real news about this until sometime in 2026. So for now, everything remains as is, nothing to worry about. It's just things have been agreed to, and nothing is made official yet, but it's been laid out how it's going to go if everything gets approved, and for the amount of money that Netflix is paying for everything that they want that they want to purchase from WB Discovery. Wow, it's a lot. It's billions, like 82.7 billion. Damn. But we will see in 2026 how things work out, not just on the entertainment side of things, as far as movies and HBO and HBO Max and Netflix and all that stuff, but how things look, not so much on the WWE side of things, but how things look for AEW on their side of things. If things get approved and then things start to move forward, we should learn from AEW themselves how things look for them in 2026. So we'll just go on that. And last thing I want to put out here has nothing to do with wrestling, which half of the things I talked about had nothing to do with pro wrestling. But I do want to add one thing, and it's that Netflix says expect shorter WWE theatrical windows before streaming, which means movies that they'll put on. So if everything goes through and Netflix owns WB, Warner Brothers, movies that Warner Brothers puts out in theaters would be out in the theaters a lot shorter before they go onto Netflix, before it goes onto their streaming on Netflix. So essentially, if it's depending how successful it is, depending on the window of how many days it will be in there. So it could be 45 to 100 to 200 days in theaters, probably shorter than that. And then after that, it goes right into streaming, which really stays in the path of how the future is going to look like, as far as entertainment goes, as far as how we watch movies. Like the age of going to the theaters is slowly dying, and it's just when a movie comes out, you can watch it through the streaming app. And I almost feel like I want to do another video where I just strictly talk about the future of entertainment and all that stuff. Maybe that's something to think about in the future, but for now, this has been Wrestling with Rumors. Thank you for sticking with me, especially for some of the stuff that I talked about that wasn't about pro wrestling, as I talked about the Netflix deal and all that. But thank you for watching this week's episode of Wrestling with Rumors. I hope all of you have a good, fun, and safe week. And don't forget to take care of yourselves. I will see you on the next one. Peace, y'all.